Commander Eric Russell straightened his uniform one last time before the airlock doors opened. His heart beat faster than he wanted to admit. After all, this was humanity's first official meeting with the Galactic Council. "Ready, sir?" Lieutenant Olivia Martinez asked beside him. Eric nodded. As ready as anyone can be to make first contact with 17 alien species at once. The airlock hissed open, revealing a vast chamber filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Some floated in the air, others stood on multiple legs, and a few seemed to shift form as they moved. "Remember," Eric whispered to his team of 5 officers, "follow diplomatic protocol. We represent all of Earth today." A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms approached them. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Coordinator Jalek. The Council has awaited this meeting for many cycles." Eric stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Thank you for inviting us, Coordinator. We come in peace and friendship." Jalek led them through the Grand Hall. Eric noticed how the aliens parted before them, keeping unusual distance. At first, he thought it might be caution or perhaps respect, but as the day went on, he realized it was something else. None of the aliens came within 3 feet of any human. The reception hall buzzed with activity. Various alien diplomats approached the human delegation, asking questions about Earth, human culture, and technology. They seemed fascinated yet cautious. "Your species achieved faster than light travel remarkably quickly," said a reptilian alien with shimmering scales. "Most impressive." "Thank you," Eric replied. "We're eager to learn from the Council's collective wisdom." Eric reached out to accept a drink from a passing server bot when an insectoid alien with compound eyes and delicate wings accidentally brushed against his hand. The alien, Zakir according to his name badge, froze instantly. His compound eyes widened, and a strange vibration passed through his body. He dropped his drink, the glass shattering on the floor. "I apologize," Zakir stammered, backing away rapidly. "Most unexpected." Before Eric could respond, 2 security aliens rushed over, positioning themselves between Zakir and the humans. "Is everything all right?" Eric asked, confused by the reaction. "A minor incident," one of the security aliens said flatly. "Nothing to concern yourselves with." But Eric noticed how the room had fallen silent. All eyes, or whatever sensory organs the various species possessed, were focused on them. Whispers spread through the gathering like ripples in a pond. "Commander," Chief Science Officer Daniel Grant murmured, "have you noticed that none of them will touch us? They maintain distance even when the room is crowded." Eric nodded slightly. "I noticed. And did you see Zokir's reaction? Something happened when we made contact." The rest of the reception continued with an undercurrent of tension. The aliens remained polite but distant, both literally and figuratively. Eric caught fragments of hushed conversations, dangerous, untested, and something that sounded like the touch of ancients. Later, as the human delegation was escorted to their quarters, Eric pulled Lieutenant Martinez aside. "Olivia, you're our xenobiologist. What do you make of their behavior?" She frowned thoughtfully. "There's clearly a taboo about physical contact with humans. But why? We've been scanned thoroughly. They know we carry no diseases harmful to them." "It's more than that," Eric said. "Did you see Zucker's face when he touched me? He looked afraid." "Not just afraid," Olivia added. "He looked like he had seen a ghost." Eric stared out the viewing port at the stars beyond. Earth was just one tiny dot among millions now. They had come so far to join the galactic community, yet already he sensed they were different in ways they didn't understand. "Something tells me," Eric said quietly, "that the real reason we're here has nothing to do with the official welcome. They know something about us, something we don't know about ourselves." Olivia nodded. "And whatever it is, it terrifies them." Lieutenant Olivia Martinez spent the next 3 days observing every alien she encountered. She made careful notes in her tablet about how they all kept their distance from the human delegation. No one came closer than 3 feet, and most preferred to stay even further away. "It's not natural," she told Daniel Grant as they ate breakfast in the council station's dining hall. "Look around us. See how the Vraxians cluster together, and the blue meridians are practically leaning on each other while talking. But there's an empty bubble around our table." Daniel nodded. "I've noticed. Think it's time we test it directly." Olivia took a deep breath. "That's my plan for today. The reptilian Draith ambassador invited me to tour their botanical collection. I'm going to attempt a handshake." "Be careful," Daniel warned. "After Zakir's reaction, we don't know what might happen." Later that day, Olivia walked beside Shenful, an elderly Draith with emerald scales and wise, amber eyes. His long tail swished gently as he showed her plants from 100 different worlds. "This one," he said, pointing to a glowing blue flower, "sings during the full moons of Draith Prime. And this red vine can move like an animal when it senses prey." Olivia smiled genuinely. "They're beautiful. Thank you for sharing them with me." She saw her opportunity when they reached the end of the tour. She extended her hand toward Shenful. "On Earth, we shake hands to show friendship and gratitude." Shenful's pupils narrowed to slits. He stepped back quickly. Before Olivia could apologize, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Red lights flashed, and a computerized voice announced, "Proximity alert. Protocol violation. Security team to Botanical Section 7. 2 large security aliens rushed in, positioning themselves between Olivia and the Draith ambassador." "There has been a misunderstanding," one security officer said stiffly. "I meant no offense," Olivia said quickly. "I was only attempting to share a human custom." Shenful raised a clawed hand. "Leave us," he told the security team. "I will handle this." After the security officers left reluctantly, Shenful's expression softened. "You truly don't know, do you?" "Know what?" Olivia asked. Shenful gestured to a bench far from any other visitors. Once seated, he lowered his voice. "Your kind bears the touch of the ancients. We respect boundaries for our safety, not yours." Olivia leaned forward. "I don't understand. What ancients? What happens when we touch?" The old Draith's scales shifted color slightly, showing a hint of blue. "Fear," Olivia guessed. "When Zakir touched your commander, he experienced visions, impressions, things no Vraxian should know." Shenful looked away. "Our scientists believe it is some form of psychic transfer, brief but intense. But humans aren't psychic," Olivia protested. "Perhaps not consciously," Shenful said, "but something sleeps within your genetic code. Something very old. Something the Council recognized when they first observed your world centuries ago." Olivia felt a chill. "You've been watching Earth for centuries." Shenful nodded. "The Council watches many developing worlds. Yours received special attention." "Why?" The old Draith stood. "That is not for me to say. But heed my warning. Do not attempt physical contact with any species here. Some would react far worse than Zakir. Some might even see it as an attack." Back in the human quarters that evening, Olivia shared what she had learned with Commander Russell and the others. "So we're basically walking psychic landmines," Eric said, rubbing his forehead. "And the Council knew this before inviting us here." "But why invite us at all?" Communications Officer Amy Collins asked. "If we're so dangerous to touch, why bring us into their midst?" Captain Frank Peterson, who had been quiet until now, looked up from his chair. "Because they want something from us. Something only humans can provide." Eric nodded slowly. "And I think it's time we found out exactly what that is." 2 months passed aboard the Council station. The human delegation settled into a routine, attending meetings and learning about the many alien cultures. But they never forgot the strange warning or the way the aliens kept their distance. Commander Eric Russell stood alone on an observation deck, watching the nearby star. Its light pulsed with unusual patterns, casting shifting shadows across the deck. According to the Council scientists, the star was perfectly normal, but Eric felt something wasn't right about it. "Beautiful, isn't it?" A voice said behind him. Eric turned to find a young Vraxian standing there. Unlike Zucker, this one had blue-tinted wing casings and smaller antennae, marking it as younger. "You're Commander Russell," the Vraxian said. "I am Kellera, junior scientist in the astronomy division." "Nice to meet you, Kellera," Eric replied, noticing how the alien maintained the usual safe distance. "Do you study this star?" Kellera's compound eyes reflected the starlight. "Yes, it's my primary research, but that's not why I sought you out today." "Oh," Eric raised an eyebrow. Kellera looked around nervously, antennae twitching. "I've been watching your species. You're not like what we were told. You're curious, peaceful, adaptive." The young alien paused. "I need to understand." Eric waited patiently as Kellera seemed to gather courage. "Why do we never touch humans?" Kellera finally asked, the question bursting out like it had been held back for too long. Before Eric could respond with his own confusion, alarms blared throughout the station. Red emergency lights began flashing, and a computerized voice announced, "Alert! Stellar anomaly detected. All personnel report to emergency stations." The observation deck suddenly filled with rushing aliens, each hurrying to their posts. Eric lost sight of Kellera in the chaos. "Commander Russell," it was Amy Collins, pushing through the crowd toward him. "We need to get back to our quarters immediately. Captain Peterson's orders." "What's happening?" Eric asked as they rushed through the corridors. "That star you've been watching, it just did something impossible. Massive energy spike, radiation burst. The whole station is on high alert." When they reached the human quarters, they found only Daniel Grant and Olivia Martinez waiting. "Where's the captain? And where's Alan from engineering?" Eric demanded. "We got separated," Daniel explained. "The station went into emergency lockdown protocols. Different sections are sealed off." Olivia brought up a station map on her tablet. "Captain Peterson is trapped in Section 5 near the council chambers. Alan is in engineering, Section 12. "What about the star?" Eric asked. Daniel's face was grim. "According to the readings I saw before the systems went offline, it's showing signs of imminent collapse. But it's all wrong. This star type shouldn't behave this way. It's like something is affecting it from the inside." Eric stared at the emergency lights flashing across the walls. "Kellera," he murmured. "What?" Olivia asked. "A young Vraxian scientist who studies this star. We were talking right before the alarms went off. He asked me the question, why aliens never touch humans. But then everything went crazy." Amy frowned. "Seems like a big coincidence." "I don't believe in coincidences," Eric said firmly. "Not anymore. Not after what Schenfel told Olivia about the Council watching Earth. Not with this star acting strangely, and not with Kellera asking that specific question right before all hell broke loose." He moved to the door. "We need to find the captain and Alan, and I need to find Kellera. I think that Vraxian knows more than he was saying." "The station is in lockdown," Olivia reminded him. "We're supposed to stay here." Eric looked at each of them. Since when do humans do what they're supposed to? Chief Science Officer Daniel Grant crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel, following the station map on his tablet. The main corridors were sealed during the emergency, but these service passages connected most sections of the station. "Just a few more meters," he muttered to himself. He emerged into a large research laboratory where several alien scientists were huddled around monitors, speaking urgently in their various languages. None had noticed his entrance yet. "The energy readings are off the scale," said a tall, jellyfish-like being with translucent skin. "It cannot be natural," replied a Meridian with blue skin. "This matches the patterns from the Cygnus incident." Daniel stepped forward. "Excuse me. I'm looking for—" The aliens spun around, startled by his voice. Their expressions shifted from surprise to alarm when they recognized him as human. "You should not be here," the Meridian said firmly. "All non-essential personnel must remain in their quarters." I'm Chief Science Officer Daniel Grant. I can help analyze the star's behavior. As if on cue, the station shuddered violently. The artificial gravity flickered, and suddenly everything began floating. Equipment, tools, and aliens drifted upward. Daniel instinctively grabbed the edge of a console to anchor himself. Beside him, the Meridian researcher lost her grip and began tumbling toward a wall of sharp equipment. Without thinking, Daniel reached out and caught her arm, pulling her to safety. The moment his fingers touched her skin, the Meridian went rigid. Her eyes widened, and her blue skin paled to almost white. Her body began to tremble. The other aliens backed away in horror, using whatever they could grab to push themselves further from Daniel. "Let her go," shouted a reptilian scientist. Daniel released the Meridian's arm immediately. She drifted away, still shaking, her eyes unfocused. "I was just trying to help," Daniel said, confused by their reaction. An elderly alien with gray skin and 6 eyes floated forward while the others retreated. According to the name badge on his coat, he was Vex, a Proxian scientist. "You don't know, do you?" Vex asked, his voice gentle but sad. "Know what?" Daniel demanded. "What happens when we touch you?" The gravity systems came back online abruptly, and everyone fell to the floor. Vex helped Daniel up, carefully avoiding direct skin contact. "When you touched Eloray just now, she experienced something we call the echo," Vex explained. "She saw flashes of human history, your wars, your struggles, your triumphs against impossible odds. She felt the full emotional weight of your species' fight for survival." Daniel stared at the Meridian, who was being comforted by her colleagues. She saw all that from just a touch. Vex nodded. "Humans carry psychic impressions unlike any species we've encountered. Your minds store the collective memory of your entire evolutionary journey. The pain, the determination, the will to survive that drove your species forward. It's all there, imprinted in your very cells." "But why would that cause such fear?" Daniel asked. Vex's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "Because your psychic impressions also contain something else. Something ancient. Something that existed before your species was fully formed. Something that many in the Council believe is dangerous." "What is it?" "A connection," Vex said quietly, "to beings that once wielded power beyond imagination. Beings that some worshipped as gods, while others feared them as destroyers." Daniel felt a chill run through him. "And you think humans are connected to these beings?" "Not just connected," Vex replied. "The Council believes you may be their descendants. Their power sleeps in your DNA, dormant but detectable through physical contact." The station shuddered again as another energy wave hit them. The lights flickered. "That star," Daniel said, understanding dawning. "It's connected to this somehow, isn't it?" Vex looked at the monitor showing the increasingly unstable star. "Yes, and I fear that what we've all been dreading is finally happening. The ancient enemies of your ancestors are awakening, and the Council has brought you here as both warning system and potential weapon." Communications Officer Amy Collins pressed her back against the cold metal wall and held her breath. Heavy footsteps passed by the small maintenance closet where she hid. When the sound faded, she let out a slow breath and checked her tablet. The station map showed she was still 5 sections away from the human quarters. "Great," she whispered to herself. "Just great." After leaving Commander Russell, she had taken a shortcut through the lower levels. That's when she noticed 3 aliens following her. They weren't station security. Their black robes and face markings were nothing she had seen before. Amy slipped out of the closet and moved quickly down the dimly lit corridor. Emergency lights cast red shadows that made the empty hallway look like something from a nightmare. The station shuddered again as another energy wave hit it from the star. She turned a corner and froze. Ahead stood one of the black-robed aliens. Its skin was pale gray with symbols carved into its flesh. 4 yellow eyes fixed on her. "Human," it said, the words sounding like a curse. "You will come with us." Amy backed away slowly. I'm just trying to get back to my quarters as ordered. Your kind should never have been brought here, the alien said. The purifiers knew this was a mistake. Two more robed figures appeared behind Amy, blocking her escape. They advanced slowly, careful not to touch her, but clearly intending to capture her. Who are you? Amy demanded, trying to sound braver than she felt. What do you want with me? The leader spoke again. We are the purifiers. We protect the galaxy from ancient taints. Your kind carries the mark of the Shapers, beings who nearly destroyed everything in their war against the Void. Amy's mind raced. Shapers? Void? None of this made sense, but she knew she needed to escape. She glanced up and noticed a ventilation duct. If she could just reach it. Amy lunged toward a nearby table, grabbing a metal tool. She flung it at the emergency light panel. Sparks flew as the panel shorted out, plunging the corridor into darkness. In the confusion, she jumped onto the table and pushed up the ventilation cover. She pulled herself up just as the emergency backup lights came on. The purifiers shouted in anger below her. Amy crawled through the tight metal passage as quickly as she could. Behind her, she heard the aliens pursuing, their robes scraping against the metal. The duct ended at a junction. Amy took a right turn, then left, trying to lose her pursuers. The station map on her tablet showed she was now above the main engineering section. She kicked out another vent cover and dropped down into an empty control room. Alarms were still blaring, and the engineering displays showed critical systems failing throughout the station. Amy ran for the door, but it slid open before she reached it. The lead purifier stood there, its yellow eyes glowing with hatred. Nowhere left to run, human, it said. Amy backed away until she hit a console. The purifier advanced slowly. The taint must be contained before it spreads, it hissed. Before the void senses your presence. In desperation, Amy looked around for a weapon, anything to defend herself. The purifier lunged forward, reaching for her with gloved hands. Acting on pure instinct, Amy ducked under its grasp and pressed her palm directly against the alien's exposed neck. The effect was immediate and shocking. The purifier went completely rigid. Its yellow eyes widened, and a strange light seemed to pass from Amy's hand into its body. Images flashed through the alien's mind. Earth's beauty, children laughing, humans helping each other after disasters, astronauts stepping onto the moon, scientists working tirelessly to cure diseases. But deeper than these surface memories lay something else, a golden light, a power slumbering within human DNA, waiting to be awakened. The purifier screamed and fell back. Amy seized her chance and ran past the stunned alien into the corridor. As she sprinted away, she heard the purifier shouting to its companions. It's worse than we feared. They don't just carry the taint. They are the Shapers reborn. Captain Frank Peterson and Lieutenant Olivia Martinez huddled in a dark corner of the ancient archives. They had fled there when a group of Council security forces tried to detain them during the evacuation. This doesn't make sense, Frank whispered. Why would they want to separate us during an emergency? Olivia's fingers moved quickly across her tablet. Unless we're not just visitors, what if we're part of whatever is happening? The archives around them contained thousands of data crystals, each holding centuries of Council records. Most were written in languages humans couldn't read, but Olivia had found a section with Earth observation files. Look at this, she said, pointing to her screen. The Council has been watching Earth for over 5,000 years. They've documented every major human advancement, every war, every leap in our evolution. Frank leaned closer. That's way longer than they admitted. Why such interest in us? Olivia scrolled through more files. There's something here about genetic markers. The Council tested samples from Earth periodically. She tapped on another file, and holographic images appeared above her tablet. They showed DNA strands with certain sections highlighted in gold. These are human genetic sequences, she explained. But look at these highlighted segments. According to these notes, they don't match any known evolutionary pattern on Earth. Frank frowned. What are you saying? That we're not fully Earth native? Not exactly, Olivia said slowly. These segments match genetic markers from another species called the Shapers. The station shuddered again, more violently this time. Lights flickered, and distant alarms wailed. That star is getting worse, Frank noted. We need to find out what's happening. Olivia continued searching through files until she found one that made her gasp. Frank, look at this. The hologram now showed an ancient star map. One star pulsed with an ominous red light, the same star their station orbited. This is from 10,000 years ago, Olivia explained. According to this file, the Shapers were a highly advanced species with the ability to manipulate matter and energy through touch. They weren't conquerors but guardians who protected younger races. She swiped to the next image, which showed dark shapes moving between stars. They fought against these, the void entities, beings that consumed energy from stars and planets, leaving dead systems behind. The final battle happened right here, around this star. Let me guess, Frank said grimly. The Shapers lost. Olivia shook her head. Not exactly. They won, but at a terrible cost. They sacrificed themselves to create a prison, a special energy barrier within the star itself. It trapped the void entities but used up all of the Shapers' life force. So they died out, Frank concluded. Most did, but according to this, a small group fled to a primitive world at the edge of the galaxy. A world with simple life forms that were just beginning to evolve. Frank's eyes widened. Earth. Olivia nodded. They merged with early human ancestors. Their powers became dormant, diluted through generations, but the Council could still detect traces of them in our DNA. That's why aliens react when they touch us. They sense the Shaper energy sleeping inside us. And that's why they brought us here, Frank added, understanding dawning. That star, the prison, it's failing, isn't it? The void is waking up. Before Olivia could answer, the archive doors slid open. A group of alien council members stood there, led by a tall figure with silver skin. You understand now, the silver alien said. Yes, humans carry the legacy of the Shapers within you. And yes, the void stirs from its slumber. Frank stood slowly. You brought us here without telling us the truth. Why? Because we needed to confirm our theory, the alien replied. We needed to know if humans truly inherited the Shapers' abilities. And now, as the prison weakens, we need you for something else. What? Olivia asked, though she feared she already knew the answer. The alien's expression was unreadable. To take your ancestors' place as guardians, or to die trying. Commander Eric Russell felt the station shake beneath his feet as he raced through the corridors. The emergency lights cast an eerie red glow on the metal walls around him. He had been searching for Kellera, the young Braxian scientist, for almost an hour. Commander, a voice called from a side passage. Eric spun around to see Kellera emerging from behind a panel in the wall. The young alien's wings vibrated with anxiety. Kellera, I've been looking for you. What's happening? What's wrong with the star? Not here, Kellera whispered, pointing to a small observation room nearby. They might be listening. Once inside, Kellera sealed the door and dimmed the lights. Through the viewport, they could see the star pulsing with unnatural patterns of light and dark. That is not a natural phenomenon, Kellera said, pointing at the star. The Council built this station here centuries ago to monitor what sleeps inside. The void entities, Eric said. Kellera's compound eyes widened. You know, pieces of it. My crew has been learning bits of the truth. The Shapers, the ancient war, how humans carry their genetic legacy. The station shuddered again, more violently this time. A crack appeared in the viewport glass. The prison is failing, Kellera explained. The energies that the Shapers use to contain the void are weakening. The Council has known this would happen for decades. That's why they finally contacted Earth, Eric realized. They need us. But why keep it secret? Why not just ask for our help? Keldra's antennae drooped. Because the Council never intended to ask. They planned to sacrifice your entire crew to strengthen the prison. Eric stepped back in shock. What? The Council believes that since you carry Shaper energy, your life force can be used to reinforce the containment field. They built special chambers to extract that energy from your bodies. That's why they've been keeping us separated, Eric said, the pieces falling into place. They're going to kill us to power their prison. Keldra nodded sadly. I discovered their plan last week. That's why I sought you out. I couldn't let it happen without at least warning you. The intercom crackled to life, and a calm alien voice announced, "Attention all personnel. The human delegation is to be escorted to Containment Section Alpha immediately. This is a direct order from the High Council." Eric's tablet beeped with an incoming message from Amy. The text read, "Being hunted by aliens called purifiers. They think humans are Shapers reborn. Meet Engineering Deck 7. We need to gather my crew," Eric told Kellera. "Can you help us?" Before Kellera could answer, the door to the observation room slid open. 3 Council security officers stood there, weapons drawn. "Commander Russell," one said, "you will come with us." Now, Eric raised his hand slowly. "I understand what's happening. I know about the void and the prison." "Then you know why your sacrifice is necessary," the officer replied coldly. "The needs of the galaxy outweigh the lives of 6 humans." "But what if there's another way?" Eric asked. "The Shapers didn't just fight the void. They contained it. If humans truly carry their legacy, maybe we can help without dying." The security officers hesitated, looking at each other. Suddenly, the lights went out completely. In the darkness, Eric felt someone grab his arm and pull him through a side door he hadn't noticed before. "This way," Keldra whispered, leading him through a maintenance passage. "I've been studying the station blueprints. There are hidden paths everywhere." As they ran, the station rocked violently. Through a small window, Eric saw massive dark tendrils emerging from the surface of the star, reaching toward the station. "It's beginning," Kellera said, fear in his voice. "The void is awakening." Eric's tablet lit up with messages from his crew. Daniel had found Captain Peterson, and Amy had linked up with Olivia. They were all heading for Engineering Deck 7. "We need to help them," Eric told Kellera. "And then we need to figure out how to stop that thing. Not as sacrifices, but as the descendants of the Shapers." Keldra's eyes seemed to glow in the dark passage. "When I touched you that first time, I saw something the Council doesn't understand. You humans aren't just carrying fragments of Shaper power. You might be their rightful successors." Engineering Deck 7 shook as another energy wave hit the station. Captain Frank Peterson helped Olivia Martinez through a damaged doorway, while Amy Collins and Daniel Grant worked on the control panel nearby. Eric Russell and Kellera arrived moments later, sliding through a maintenance hatch. "Everyone okay?" Eric asked, quickly counting heads. "Where's Alan?" "Here, sir." Alan Jones, the ship's engineer, emerged from beneath a console where he'd been working. "Been trying to restore station power." Reunited at last, the humans gathered in a tight circle while Kellera stood watch at the door. "The Council plans to sacrifice us," Eric explained quickly. "They think our Shaper energy can strengthen the prison." Frank nodded. "We found the ancient records. The Shapers created the prison 10,000 years ago. Some escaped to Earth and merged with our ancestors. Well, those purifier aliens are convinced we are the Shapers reborn," Amy added. "One touched me and seemed terrified by what he saw." Outside the viewport, dark tendrils grew from the star's surface, reaching toward the station like hungry fingers. "The prison is almost broken," Kellera said. "The void will consume this station first, then spread to nearby star systems. Billions will die." Daniel stepped forward. "I think I understand what's happening. The Shapers didn't just give us their DNA, they gave us their power. But it's dormant," spread thin across generations. So what do we do? Alan asked. How do we wake it up? Olivia looked at her hands thoughtfully. When aliens touch us, they experience our psychic imprint. What happens when we touch each other? The humans looked at each other uncertainly. Worth a try, Eric said. He reached out and clasped Olivia's hand. At first, nothing happened. Then a faint golden light appeared where their skin met. Eric gasped as he felt a strange energy flow between them. I can feel something, he said, like a connection I never knew was there. One by one, the others joined hands, forming a circle. The golden light grew stronger, spreading up their arms and across their bodies. It's working, Kelra exclaimed. The Shaper energy is responding to your combined presence. The door burst open. Council security forces rushed in, led by the silver-skinned alien from the archives. Stop them, he commanded. The ritual requires them separate. But the officers froze when they saw the humans glowing with golden light. Too late, Frank said, his voice somehow deeper, more resonant. We understand now. The Shapers didn't hide among us to escape. They became us to evolve. The station rocked violently as a massive tendril of darkness struck it directly. Warning lights flashed, and emergency sirens wailed. Hull breach in sections 3 through 17, announced the station computer. Catastrophic failure imminent. We need to contain it, Eric said, the golden energy now pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat, like our ancestors did. But they sacrificed themselves, Kelra reminded them. All their life force was consumed in creating the prison. Olivia's eyes widened with sudden understanding. Because they were few and alone. But humanity has billions of minds, billions of hearts, all carrying traces of Shaper energy. We're not meant to die to strengthen the old prison, Daniel added. We're meant to create a new one. As one, the 6 humans closed their eyes. The golden energy surrounding them intensified until it was almost too bright to look at. It spread outward from their circle in waves, passing through the walls of the station and out into space. Where it touched the dark tendrils, they recoiled. The void entity screamed, not with sound, but with a psychic pressure that made everyone clutch their heads in pain. It's working, Kelra shouted over the noise. The void is retreating. The humans opened their eyes, which now glowed with the same golden light. Through their joined hands flowed the collected strength of humanity. Every struggle, every triumph, every moment of compassion and courage in human history. The light formed a net around the star, pushing the darkness back into its core. But unlike the original prison, this one pulsed with life, constantly renewing itself. Slowly, the golden glow faded from the humans, and they released each other's hands. They looked different somehow, more confident, more aware. The silver-skinned council leader approached cautiously. What have you done? Eric smiled. What the Shapers always intended. We didn't just inherit their DNA. We inherited their purpose. They didn't flee to Earth to hide. They went there to evolve into something new. And now, Frank added, looking out at the contained star, we remember who we are.